Welcome to the Getting Started with SpamBlocker video tutorial. During this brief video, I'll define SpamBlocker, explain how to set up and use SpamBlocker, and show you how to monitor SpamBlocker statistics. Unwanted email, or spam, can consume your company's bandwidth, reduce employee productivity, and waste network resources. Commercial mail filters use many methods to identify spam. Unfortunately, cyber attackers can often bypass these measures. So what can you do to stop these types of attacks? You can protect your network with SpamBlocker. SpamBlocker is a subscription service from WatchGuard that provides real-time spam detection by using a combination of rules, pattern matching, and sender reputation to accurately identify and block spam messages. Because SpamBlocker is a fully integrated security subscription for your Firebox, it provides an easy-to-manage, cost-effective solution without additional hardware to purchase and maintain. With the basics covered, it's now time to dive into how to activate and configure SpamBlocker. Before you start working with SpamBlocker, make sure you have these items. If you don't have a SpamBlocker feature key, contact your WatchGuard reseller. SpamBlocker works with the WatchGuard POP3 and SMTP proxies to scan your inbound email. If you haven't already configured a POP3 or SMTP proxy policy, you can enable it when you configure SpamBlocker. First, you need to make sure that you have DNS servers configured for your Firebox. DNS is required to resolve connections to the cloud-based SpamBlocker servers. To do that, in Policy Manager, select Network, Configuration, and then select the Wins DNS tab. Now it's time to activate SpamBlocker. In Policy Manager, open the Activate SpamBlocker wizard, like this. Use this dialog box to select which active policies you want to activate SpamBlocker for. As you can see, the SpamBlocker activation process couldn't be much easier. Select this checkbox to configure the SpamBlocker parameters. If you think back to the activation steps, remember that I enabled SpamBlocker for both the POP3 and SMTP proxy policies, which is why the policies are in this list. As you can see here, SpamBlocker is enabled for both policies. For each item in this list, select the policy and then click Configure. Select this checkbox if it isn't already selected, and use these drop-down menus to set the actions SpamBlocker will apply for confirmed spam, bulk email, and suspect email messages. Make sure these checkboxes are selected if you want to send log messages each time SpamBlocker takes an action. This drop-down list specifies how your Firebox handles incoming email when the SpamBlocker server cannot be contacted. We recommend you use the default Allowed action. You can optionally use these tabs to add SpamBlocker exception rules and enable virus outbreak detection. For more information about these tabs, see Firewall Help. If you have activated SpamBlocker for more than one proxy policy, repeat these configuration steps for each remaining policy. You can click here to set your global SpamBlocker settings and optimize your SpamBlocker configuration. It's important to note that because some of these parameters affect the amount of memory that SpamBlocker uses on your Firebox, you'll want to balance SpamBlocker performance with other device functions. If you want to enable and configure VOD, select this checkbox. If you selected this checkbox, use this text box to type or select the VOD file size limit. This is where you type or select the number of bytes of an email message to be passed to SpamBlocker to be scanned. Usually 20 to 40K is enough for SpamBlocker to correctly detect spam. If image-based spam is a problem for your organization, you can increase the maximum file size to block this type of spam. Here you can type the number of entries SpamBlocker caches locally for messages that have been categorized as spam or bulk. Why would you do this? A local cache can improve performance because it reduces network traffic to the SpamBlocker servers, but most people only change this setting when performing troubleshooting. The Proactive Patterns feature helps SpamBlocker identify and block new spam messages even before the recurrent pattern is added to the Siren database. Proactive Patterns is enabled by default. This feature requires large amounts of space while the local database on your Firebox is updated, so if your device has limited memory or processor resources, you might want to disable this feature by clearing this checkbox. To restore the default spam blocker settings at any time, click here. If SpamBlocker must use an HTTP proxy server to connect to the Siren server through the internet, you must configure the HTTP proxy server settings in the SpamBlocker configuration on this tab. To improve spam scoring accuracy, you can use this tab to enter one or more host names or domain names of email servers that you trust to forward email to your email server. For more information about adding trusted email forwarders, see Firewall Help. Finally, remember to save the configuration file to your Firebox. Using SpamBlocker is key to protecting your network from unwanted email traffic, but knowing exactly what SpamBlocker is doing is just as important. To see statistics on your current SpamBlocker activity in the web UI, select Dashboard, Subscription Services. You can also look at the Subscription Services tab in Firebox System Manager for current Firebox statistics about SpamBlocker activity that occurred after the last device restart. You can use the reports from WatchGuard Dimension to monitor SpamBlocker activity. Reports are automatically generated from the log message data from your Firebox devices, Fire clusters, and WatchGuard servers. All you have to do is make sure that you've correctly set up logging, apply the SpamBlocker settings to your policies, and then navigate to the Services section in Dimension to view the SpamBlocker data for your network. You can review Firewall Help for more information about using Dimension to protect your network. To learn more about SpamBlocker, visit the WatchGuard website.